Hello, how you doing? Look, today we're going to make crispy belly pork, and when I say crispy, it's really super crispy, but at the same time super juicy and moist in the center. Welcome back to How to Cook Great. Okay, so our pork belly is here. This is 1.5 kg, which is just over 3 pounds. So the skin is on there obviously, and then underneath looks like that, and the side looks like that. So I'm going to be just using a small knife like this, little sharp knife, but you could use like something else, like a kind of kebab skewer or something. What we're going to do is this all over for about 5 minutes. So what I find is, if I think of someone I don't like, that all becomes a little bit easier. Okay, so we've pricked it and pricked it and pricked it. If you've seen, like, there's loads and loads of holes in it, loads and loads of holes in that skin. What we're going to do now is we're going to boil this. We're going to put it in water with some spices and get it going that way. So we're in a big pot. That's cold water in it, so I've kind of covered it up. A couple of teaspoons black peppercorns, a couple of bay. I like to put in some star anise, 1, 2, 3, 4 bits maybe. Quite a lot of salt, like a tablespoon of salt. An onion, you can just pop that in like that. And then I also like to add a couple of lemons or lime. I'm just going to give them a little squeeze, drop it in, squeeze, drop it in. And then one more here. What we're going to do is we're going to put the heat on high, bring that to a boil. Once it hits boiling point, going to turn the heat down a bit, get it on a kind of rolling boil for about 15-20 minutes. So I've turned that over a few times during the process, you know, just sort of flipped it over. What you need to do now is get a knife or something like a skewer or something, put it in and pull it out, and you can see that that's cooked there. Juices are coming out, but not blood. If there's a kind of red blood looking thing, keep going. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn off the heat. I'm going to be taking this out. We're going to put it on a tray, and what we need to do is, once it cools down, like, pat it dry underneath, on top, on the sides, everywhere. Regarding this water, I'm going to discard it. If you want, drink it or use it as a stock, but yeah, for me, I'm going to be throwing it out. But let's get this out and stick it on a tray. Okay, so I've taken that pork belly out. I've let it rest for a little bit so it's kind of touchable, not so hot. And what I've done is I've patted it dry. I've got some paper towel and I patted it dry all over. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get salt, and we're going to put plenty of salt on it. We're going to be rubbing this on. You can see I've got some gloves on, and I'm going to be turning it over. We're going to be doing the underside and the sides. Now we're using plenty of salt here. We're probably going to use 4 or 5 tablespoons of salt. Just get it all in there and give it a little rub. Like I say, all the sides, all the edges. This is going to kind of give it that real crispiness. And we're simply going to be frying this once we've done this. So this does look like an enormous amount of salt, and it is, but it all works out really well in the end. Beautiful stuff. I think we're ready to get this bad boy in the pan. So I'm at the cooker, as you can see. Now I've got a pan here with about 2 to 3 centimeters of oil. You can use any oil you want. I'm using a corn oil today, but sunflower or something like that. Up to you what you want to go with. Now some people would deep fry this. I'm not going to deep fry it because it's quite a dangerous thing. Even this now is going to be quite a thing. So what we're going to do is just heat it up, then I'm going to drop in the pork. So here we go. Now just by the way, I've got this set to medium. We're not making French fries here. You don't want it super hot because it really does splutter quite a lot. So in that goes. And because I'm not deep frying it, I'm going to be turning it every sort of 1 or 2 minutes on its side, flipping it over, things like that. Okay, now just a warning. This goes berserk, this oil. Every now and then it will just spurt really badly. If you've got one of those nets, you know, those kind of mesh nets that can go over the top, really you should be using it. So I've been turning this over and over for maybe about 10 minutes now. You can see it's beautiful. Now I'm going to take this out. Now if you want, you can eat this right away. What we're going to do is we're going to let it sit down for about 20 to 30 minutes. And then we're going to refry, double fry on this one. Okay, so just let that cool down 15, 20 minutes. We're going to get it back in now. Just put the heat on of the oil. It's going to go for about 5 minutes now, mostly on the skin, to be honest. I'm going to flip it a few times, but probably 4 minutes is going to be on the skin. Okay, that is truly beautiful now. Like I say, most of the frying was on the skin side, but really worth doing a little double fry. So we're going to take it out. That's super crispy, that is, and delicious. Be really juicy inside as well. We're going to just set that back on the rack for a couple of minutes, and then we can tuck in. Okay, so there she blows. Really beautiful. What I'm going to do now is cut it up into nice kind of bite-sized cubes. Look at that, absolutely gorgeous. Dripping, you see the juices? It's not dry at all, really juicy. So I was going to cube it up, but I've opted for kind of nice thick slices like that. Perfect, perfect. Really super juicy in the center and double crispy on the outside. Hello, how's it going? Look, today we're going to make some beautiful chicken spring rolls. Everyone loves these, don't they? Really simple to make. So I've got 400 grams of ground or minced chicken. I've got also half a cup of onion, 1 cup of white cabbage, half a cup of carrots, a little bit of green onion, some garlic, a little bit of fish sauce and some oyster sauce. Let's get moving. Oh, by the way, I'm going to be using pre-brought wrappers for this. They're really convenient, they're cheap and just really easy to do. So in my pan I've got some oil. I'm using a sunflower oil, but please go ahead and change the oil that suits you. We're on an above medium heat. Let's get moving. Let's start off by dropping in about a tablespoon of garlic there, chopped garlic. If you want, you could put ginger, but I prefer just garlic in this one. The onion, and you can see everything's cut very, very small. Everything's really small, so it goes nicely into the wrapper. Get our carrots in. Now I've chopped my carrots, but if you want, you could grate them. You can grate them in as well, which they cook nicely as well. But yeah, I've just chopped mine really small. Then goes in the ground chicken. Now, of course, I'm doing chicken today. You could be doing pork with if you wanted. Let's get some salt in, not too much because we're going to be adding fish sauce as well later. And of course, some black pepper. And for me, I'm also going to add in a little bit of chili flakes or a little bit of cayenne pepper, optional of course. Now what we're going to do is on this above medium heat, we're going to cook this for about 4 to 5 minutes and I'll be stirring pretty often. So that's come together beautifully. Next up, we're going to add in our cabbage, and again, white cabbage, which I've cut really, really tiny. A little bit of green onion in there, scallions or spring onions, whatever you call them. A teaspoon or so of fish sauce. Now, fish sauce is very, very strong, so be very, very careful with it. And then about a tablespoon of oyster sauce. In that goes. And very simply, we're going to go for about another 3 to 4 minutes, and then our filling is done. So then what we're going to do is go for the fold. So I'm going to show you this from a few different angles. There's many ways of doing this, but this is the way I'm doing it today. So I've got these sheets, as you can see, and I've put in a little line there. Not too much, don't stuff them too much. They're difficult to fold otherwise. And you can see I've got that kind of white liquid there. That's flour and water mix, and that's going to be our kind of little glue that we're going to use to, you know, to do it. But anyway, here you go. Look, fold them in there, fold it over there, and then you need to kind of get it as tight as you can, roll it in. Really easy. Get some of our little glue stuff. Beautiful. Look, I'll show you this a few more times and then you'll get the hang of it. So you can use any amount of oil. You can kind of shallow fry these or deep fry them. I mean, you can see my spring rolls there. I'm gonna go for a kind of in between. Like I've got maybe 2 or 3 centimeters of oil. And again, I'm using sunflower oil. Again, if you want, change that to an oil that suits you. Now, above medium heat, we want the oil hot, but we don't want it raging hot. I mean, everything inside is cooked, but we don't want to burn the wrappers now. So we're gonna drop them in. And don't crowd the pan, otherwise they stick together. And we're gonna just cook them. You can see there, it's just bubbling nicely there. You know, hot, but not crazy. And then put the fold face down, and that will immediately seal the whole thing. We're gonna cook these now for about 2 to 3 minutes only, and I'll be tossing them around, golden brown. You know what we're looking for. They're absolutely delicious. Okay, so we're going to do some beef and mushroom. Nothing to it really. Doesn't take long at all. So I've got 500 grams or about a pound of some really nice quality kind of steak, beef steak, you know, kind of frying steak. A couple of tablespoons of oil, and we're just going to chuck that into our wok, and we're going to go for around 4 minutes. Then I'm going to add a tablespoon of ginger and a tablespoon of garlic and 1 cup of sliced onions, and once more 4 more minutes roughly, stirring often. I'm going to be adding some fish sauce. Now be really careful with fish sauce, it's very, very salty, so, you know, maybe a teaspoon, maybe less. Along with 2 or 3 tablespoons of a soy sauce. I'm using a light soy, you can use, you know, dark if you want, and 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce. To that, I'm also going to add half a cup of cold water, and once more, we're going to go for another 4 minutes. Some black pepper. Not going to add any salt because we've got the soy, the oyster and the fish sauce in there. That's already salty enough for me, but you know, you can taste that and adjust it. And then 250 grams of mushrooms, fresh mushrooms. You can see I've got a selection of different types of mushrooms here, but you can use any mushrooms you want. 3 more minutes and you've done it. Beautiful. Hope you enjoy that. Keep safe, keep well. I'll see you soon. Lots of love. So we're going to start by boiling our ribs in some water. So I've got some cold water there, as you can see in the wok. We're going to get our pork ribs and we're going to place them in. But next up, we're going to add some aromatics to them to kind of, you know, get some flavor into them while we boil them. So I've got half a lemon here, so just going to give that a little squeeze and then pop the whole lemon in. A couple of nice chunks of ginger. Red chilli, a couple of these, just split them open and popping them in. Bit of onion. 1, 2, 3 cloves of garlic. Some star anise, 3 pieces of that. We're going to add some salt in the mix and then we're going to bring that to a boil, get it on a rolling boil for about 7 minutes. Now they're done, we're going to fetch the ribs out and set them aside. You can discard all of the water. So back in the same wok, got 2 or 3 tablespoons of oil. I'm using the corn oil, and as you can see, I've now chopped my ribs up. Let's get moving. So, ginger, garlic, chunky cut. Just a little bit of that. I mean, you can add more than I have if you wanted. Just spin that around in a nice hot oil there. Then we're going to add onion. White onion cubed. There's probably about a cup there or just less than a cup. Then in go the ribs that we've chopped up. And we're going to fry this around for about 4 minutes in this pan. Keep it moving pretty much all of the time. Beautiful. Okay, here we go. Got some asparagus. This is a very sort of thin asparagus. I mean, it's optional. You don't have to use this at all. But, you know, I like it in there. Some black pepper. Little spin. If you don't want to use asparagus, you could use some other vegetable like bell peppers or something like that, or carrots. In fact, you don't have to use a vegetable at all if you don't want them. 3 minutes there, just spinning that around again. Nice and hot. About half a cup of water. Little bit of fish sauce. Now be careful with fish sauce. I'm going to put in maybe a teaspoon or so. It's very, very salty, so just go careful with it. Some beautiful soy. I'm using the light soy. Maybe 3 tablespoons there. A little mix. I'm going to go just for another couple of minutes. Okay, here we go, looking beautiful. We're nearly there, by the way, nearly finished. Oyster sauce. About 3 to 4 tablespoons. With the soy and the oyster sauce, you can adjust it to your liking. Again, a little mix, high heat, about 3 minutes. So that's kind of reduced down a bit and kind of glazed out pork ribs. Delicious stuff, really simple. Hello, how you doing? Look, we're going to make some fish today. Really simple method, it's absolutely delicious. Okay, so let's get started. You're going to need a pan of some sort. You can see the one I've got, and I've just laid slices of lemon on the bottom. We're going to take our fish. I'm using this dory fish today. You could use a different fish if you want. This is nice and light, this fish. Cooks very easily. In that goes. Next up, I'm going to put in some fresh ginger. You can cut it how you want. Fairly sort of large pieces I've put. Cut it smaller if you want. Small amount of garlic. That's just like a teaspoon or so there. some salt, some black pepper, and then I have 2 tablespoons of a light soy sauce, and then just some water, about 4 tablespoons. Very simply, we're going to put a lid on that, get it on the cooker. So medium heat, not too high, lid on, and because this fish is quite a delicate fish, it will cook really quickly. It's just going to be about 6 to 7 minutes. Very, very simple. Okay, so the lid's off, and that is beautifully cooked. Off goes the heat. That was just like 6 minutes, job done. Okay, there you go. So just serve that with a little bit of green onion on the top. It really is very, very simple to make and delicious. Okay, let's get started with these ingredients. I've got 250 grams there of noodles. Now I'm using a wheat noodle. You can use lots of different types of noodles. Read the packet, get them cooked, get them ready. 2 cups onion, 2 cup chicken breast, no skin, no bone, cut into nice long strips. 1 cup of green peas, tablespoon ginger, tablespoon garlic. There's a few other bits going in, but let's get moving with this. So you're going to need a large skillet or a wok type thing that I have here. In there I've got 3 tablespoons of oil. I'm using a sunflower oil. You can change that if you want. Let's drop in the garlic and ginger. High heat all the way here. Now our onion. 3 minutes stirring often. Fabulous, that garlic and ginger straight away is wonderful. We're now going to get our chicken breast in. As you can see, I've cut that into thin strips. A little bit of salt, not too much, because we're going to be adding some salty things a bit later. Black pepper. Now if you wanted, you could get some star anise in here, or a bit of 5-spice powder maybe. For me, I'm going to skip that today, but we are going to go now. Again, high heat all the way, stirring really often for about 4 minutes. Now we're going to go in with that cup of peas. Now I'm using peas. If you wanted, you could get some other veg in there. Celery, carrots, mushrooms, bell peppers. It's up to you. 2 minutes, again, keep it moving. Great stuff. Okay, noodle time. So in goes our noodles. Like I say, I'm using a wheat noodle, but you could use egg noodles, a thinner one than this, a thicker one than this. Just get the noodles that you want, read the packet, cook them, and off we go. 5 minutes now. Stirring, stirring, stirring. Now sometimes what I do is I use 2 spoons so I can sort of get in there and lift it up and flip it over. Right, off goes the heat. We're going to set that aside for a moment. So I've got a little frying pan here with a very small amount of oil in. Here I've got 4 eggs. We're going to drop them in. And we're going to break them roughly, because I want some of the yellow and some of the white happening in there. If you beat the eggs really well, you're just going to get the kind of regular looking egg. Fish sauce, very, very salty, just a small amount. Soy, I've got a dark soy here, 2 tablespoons. Use light if you want. Oyster sauce, 2 tablespoons again. All of those ingredients are very salty. That's why we didn't add so much salt earlier. We're going to cook this for like 3 minutes, and then we're going to be adding this into the noodles for a final mix. So the heat's back on high. We're going to take our egg mixture there, drop that in. Just another minute or so of mixing that in. Beautiful. And then off goes the heat, half a cup, green onions, one more mix, I'll see you at the table. And there we go, absolutely delicious. Hope you enjoyed that. Keep safe, keep well. I'll see you soon. Lots of love. Thanks a lot for getting to the end of the video. If you'd like to give me a thumbs up, that does help us out quite a lot with the algorithm and such like. Subscribe if you like, you'll get notified about what we're doing. There's a thanks button if you want to donate. See you soon.